At 19, she earned an Academy Award for Best Actress nomination. At 26, she won Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival. She would later win 5 César Award for Best Actress, the highest honor in French cinema. The 1980s belonged to her. Yet, at the age of 68, she faced a suspended sentence and heavy fines over tax issues, from being hailed as the most dazzling beauty of French cinema to becoming entangled in legal controversy later in life. Her story feels like a real French film itself, brilliant, chaotic, romantic, and ultimately lonely. Someone once described her this way: there are only 2 kinds of actresses in the world, Isabelle Adjani and everyone else. Today, we're going to tell the story of the woman who seemed to embody the entire era of French cinema in the 1980s. If you've seen her films, feel free to share in the comments. Which of her intense and unforgettable moments do you remember the most? In France, a widely repeated saying goes, French cinema in the 1980s belonged to Adjani. Several of the films she starred in are still regarded as classics today. Some media outlets even wrote, an era produces only one Adjani. When she was young, Adjani could captivate audiences with nothing more than a glance. Yet few people realize that despite such extraordinary beauty, she was abandoned by lovers 3 times. Human beings are shaped by ordinary desires and emotions, but the purest part of our feelings is often the obsession of love. A friend once said, what we truly love is the unique soul beneath the dust and conventions that cover a person. Yet in the pursuit of love, the freedom couples seek often becomes a brief, passionate belief, one that rarely lasts forever. Isabelle Adjani was born on June 27, 1955, in the 17th arrondissement of Paris, France. Her father was an Algerian music teacher, and her mother was a German dancer. This blend of French, German, and North African heritage gave her a strikingly distinctive appearance from an early age. But Adjani's childhood was far from easy. Her parents divorced when she was young, and she and her younger brother were raised by their mother. They moved frequently between different neighborhoods in Paris, living an unstable life. It was within this unsettled environment that Adjani first found refuge in art, ballet, theater, literature, and poetry. These became her emotional sanctuary. By the age of 12, she had already stood out in school theater competitions. At 17, she was accepted into the prestigious Comédie Française, one of the most respected theatrical institutions in France. For a teenager, this was nearly the highest recognition possible in the performing arts. In 1975, a role arrived that would change her destiny. At just 20 years old, Adjani starred in The Story of Adele H. The film, inspired by the real-life story of Victor Hugo's daughter, tells the psychological journey of Adele Hugo, whose obsessive love gradually descends into madness. Adjani portrayed the character's passion, devotion, and emotional collapse with astonishing intensity. Her performance stunned the European film world. She received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actress, becoming one of the youngest nominees in Oscar history. At that moment, the global film industry remembered her name for the first time. If The Story of Adele H proved her talent, another film in 1981 cemented her legend. That year, she starred in Possession. In the film, she played a woman on the brink of psychological breakdown. Her extreme emotional shifts shocked audiences. Within seconds, she could move from tenderness to madness. Her emotional intensity felt almost like a real psychological collapse. With this role, Adjani won Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival, gaining international recognition as one of the most brilliant actresses in French cinema. She was only 26 years old. Around the same time, the media began labeling her as a beautiful woman on the edge of madness. That image would follow her for decades. Over the next decade, she starred in many of France's most important films. In 1988, her performance in Camille Claudel earned her the Best Actress Award at the Berlin International Film Festival and another Academy Award nomination. By the middle of her career, she had already won the César Award for Best Actress 5 times, setting a record that still stands today. But alongside her fame came controversy, an intense private life, public disputes, and frequent clashes with the media. Even while serving as a jury member at Cannes, her outspoken personality sometimes created friction with other jurors. Her honesty and stubbornness often sparked public debate. Adjani's personal life was just as dramatic as her film roles. She had 3 major relationships and 2 children, yet she never married. One former partner once said bluntly, "Falling in love with Adjani is easy. Living with her is incredibly difficult." Her personality was intense and perfectionistic, traits that made her artistic performances unforgettable, but often complicated her personal relationships. In 2023, at the age of 68, Adjani once again made headlines in France. This time, however, it wasn't because of a film. A French court ruled that she had committed tax violations and sentenced her to a suspended sentence and fines. The news saddened many fans. The actress, who once symbolized the golden era of French cinema, had become entangled in legal controversy in her later years. Even so, within the French film industry, one belief remains widely shared: she is irreplaceable. Looking back at Adjani's 50-year career, one pattern becomes clear. She almost never plays ordinary people. Instead, she chooses extreme female characters: obsessive lovers, artists torn apart by fate, queens caught in the vortex of power.
Through these roles, she showed audiences how powerful and intense female emotion could be. Her acting style deeply influenced European cinema, and many critics believe she transformed the way women were portrayed in French films. Today, Adjani is no longer the young woman whose beauty once made the world hold its breath. Time has left its marks on her face, and controversy has never completely left her life. But if you have watched her films, you may understand one thing. Some actors are created by their era. Others become the era itself. Isabelle Adjani belongs to the latter.